Okay, just to refresh you guys with the gear on the base right here. After you clean it out good, and then you can also clean the shaft and the groove of the shaft. Make sure that this will be clean. Some of these pack all the grease on everything in there. You don't need that. Just clean it all off. You don't need no grease on these things. The more you get it grease and oil and things like that, it will be collect more dust in there and create more problem. So make sure it clean good, dry clean, and you can you can test it in by sliding it in the strap there. Make sure they run really good. No bumpy. Okay, and take that one off and leave this on the side. Now we're working on the side of the base. Okay, the lock, the shaft lock assembly right here, you can unscrew it out this way. It's going to be clockwise will be removed. Okay, so it's not like a counterclock. The counterclock will be go in, but clockwise is removing. So remember that. And inside there you will see a little metal piece right here for the pressure to when you run this one in there, that will be press that copper part again the shaft, so it lock the shaft in place. Okay, make sure you don't lose it. If you lose it, you have to use the copper and small copper diameter, and then cut that piece, and then you can use it. But don't put any metal in there, because if you put metal in there, it's so hard, and then it will be ding on your shaft, and there's no good later on. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take the cover of the bearing out by remove the two screw, one on each side. And then the cover will be pulled straight out. Okay. That's one side. That will be on the left-hand operator, and this will be on the right side of operator. Screw. And again, this one will be just slide it down. That will give you expo of the bearing of the. You got 3 bearings, 1, 2, 3, and the one right here for the axle move front to back, and the 3 bearings is side to side. See, the shaft goes sliding in there, and that moves side to side. And the large bearing in there, that move forward. That will be rotated around like this. Okay. Alright, a lot of time when you take the cover off, you're probably very dirty. This one is not really dirty, but it is dirty. Okay, and the only thing you can do there is just clean it. Again, you can use the brush to brush all the dirt out like that. Dry clean. Okay, clean as you can, clean all the way out. And if you have a Q-tip, then you can use a little lighter fluid and just clean it. Clean is one of them good, because that's where they run into on top of your shaft. And if it's dirty, you will feel like a bumpy every time you move side to side. So you clean it. You can hold it and clean it and rotate it and clean it. Rotate your finger here to rotate the ball, and then you can clean it. Then go to the next one, do the same thing, hold the bearing and then clean it, and move to the next position and clean it. Keep cleaning until your bearing all shine up around and thing. Okay, that's it. On the other end, you pay attention to, because at the other end they have a shaft lock assembly. Okay, this one sit in there with the 2 screw on the bottom, and the top one with the spring look like this one is missing both of the spring to hold it in place. So in order to take it apart, you maybe still have the 2 spring in here, so make sure you don't lose it. By doing that, you can remove the, unscrew the 2 screw on the bottom out. Sometimes they have a nail polish, you have to use acetone to break the the acetone before you take it apart. You don't need to take it all the way out, just remove it out there so you can take the center out. Like I said, yours still have a 2 spring inside there, so when you take it apart, you make sure you don't lose it. Okay? This one is also put in upside down because the 2 spring will be one sitting here and one sitting here against it like this. Okay, so let me after that, you can clean the bearing just like the other side. You just brush it out first with your toothbrush. Brush it as you can. Like as you see, this one is dirty than on the other side. It's so dirty, so messy in there. And do that, and then you blow on the dust out there. Sometimes full up a blend around here and inside here, so you make sure you clean and blow it all the way out, and then clean the bearing. Again, clean the bearing again. Use a lighter fluid and Q-tip, and just like at the other side, you see how much dirty it is there. There's so much dirty, so you need to clean it all the dirt out of this. And after you clean it, the bearing should be shining all around. Do it, bearing, clean it up. Keep cleaning until you see all the bearing is all clean and shiny. And also inside here need to be cleaned because a lot of dust inside there. Need to blow it out, so make sure you clean it all good like this. You don't need to take the bearing out because the bearing, you might not have it to replace it, but if you replace it, you find out which one is broken and then replace that one only. But like I said, I don't know where you can find a bearing to replace it. But if you can, and then you replace one, whatever broken there, because all the bearings have to be the same size, and hard to say how you're going to be replace it when you don't have it. Okay, let's say after you clean it good, we can leave this one here later on when I find the spring, and then I put it in there and let you see how it's installed back. Alright, in order to find out if the bearing is good or not, you can leave it like this and you can feel the bearing. Put it in there like this, okay, and you can hold the shaft and you can see if it loose. This a little bit loose right here, but it's not that bad. So if you're like that and you clean on the lint and everything good, and then you lubricate with a rim oil. Inside here, inside here is the rim oil. Put it in here so I can easy to lubricate with the needle. So put a little drop of oil in there on each bearing, and then you can work it through like that. Rotate the bearing so it lubricated, and do to the next bearing the same way. You put the little oil in there and then work the bearing to move the bearing around to get it lubricated, and do the third one the same way and do that. Okay, after it's lubricated, you don't need more oil in there, so you can get the air can and just blow the oil. You don't need in there that much, and just put one in there and then rotate the bearing to make sure the bearing rotating around lubricated. Again, repeat it on the other side. Rotate the bearing to make sure it's lubricated. And again, this one, rotate it, lubricate it. And after that, use the air to blow on the grease that you don't need much in there now. And that seems to be, that's all you got to do. So make sure you move it in and out. You can feel it good. That's good. But if you see one of the bearing, if somehow, if you leave like that and you can check it, the shaft is moving back and forth inside here, or you can see the gap is big in here on one side and the other side closer, and then you can adjust that bearing. In order to adjust the bearing, you have to lose this 2 screws on each side, and then this big screw is where you adjust it, because this large screw is eccentric. So you might be move one direction, it's going to be tight at this shaft, or you move this direction, it will be make it looser. So what you do is you move it toward to the tighter, and then release it just a hair to make sure your shaft is move back and forward without any bumpy or hard to move, and then you lock the two back. But that's just, you don't need to mess with that, because it's going to be take you for a long time to adjust one bearing. So later on, when you're comfortable with what cleaning, and then you can try to do that. But like I said, to adjust the bearing, this large screw is eccentric, so you move one side, it will be create the bearing go in, or you can move the other side, will be make the bearing go out. So you have to play with it to get it right, okay? And it's not easy. So if you don't have to go in there and mess with it, don't go in there and mess with it. Also, when you take it apart, it looks like this one is kind of loose right here. It's very loose. You supposed to be tighter than this one. Okay, this one looser, because looser I can take it apart and show you what inside there. Okay, just move it down, and then you can remove this one, and then you see the large spring right, I mean the large ball bearing right here is for moving back, more front to back. When you rotate back and front to back like this, that bearing will be activated front to back. And the 3 small bearing right here is for side to side. And this assembly right here is loose, so I'm just, since it's loose, so I just take it down there to show you what inside there. But you don't need to take the apart. You don't have to. Make sure this one is lock and play, because when you take it apart, you have to replace the 2 bearings. So, and you don't have the bearing to replace, so don't even take it apart. If it just stay in there, that's good. If it loose, just try to tighten it back. Okay, just tighten it back there, and when you do that, you have to have a screwdriver to there, wet in there, wedge in there, and then the other side you can hold the 2 right here and just turn it in, tight it as you can, and that's supposed to be there. Both of these bearings shouldn't be loose like that, or this housing shouldn't be loose like that, so it had to be stay like that. This one rotation, this side had to be rotation too. Okay, and that's it. That seemed to be feeling very good on this side, and the front to back rotation freely, so it's pretty good. Alright, on this part right here, like I said, from the beginning, you should have a 2 spring, one in here and one in here, to hold it in place. So this one has been missing, so let me go find a spring, and then I'll get back with you.